So what are we talking about today, Bob?
Well, in this episode, I'm going to read it off the screen now because I can't remember it. We're talking about gimbals.
Yes.
Now, when we
Gimbal.
say gimbals, we're talking about those fancy things that you can fit your smartphone in to take better video.
So yeah, what they are, what they do, how can they improve videos, all that good stuff. So
They are really, really cool. But they have
yeah,
to be used at the right time, in the right way, for the right shot.
yes. So let's start off with what is a gimbal, Bob?
Well, they look suspiciously like that.
Yes, they do. And it's one of those things. A gimbal, it's a tool. It's a tool that stabilizes a camera. Basically, I mean, there's a lot of different uses for a gimbal, but in this case, it is a tool that stabilizes a camera. And so, what Bob and I have are digital versions, right, with motors that keep a camera stable. But there are also gimbals that use weights.
For the
But
purpose
yeah,
that we're talking about, it's electric motors.
correct.
Okay, so a gimbal, what it does is when you have your smartphone fitted inside it, it allows you to keep the image stable or more stable than you can by holding it in your hand. So the videos you take aren't so wobbly and
So
aren't
when you're
affected by
getting that
bumps.
So when you're capturing that awesome shot of the association president coming on stage, right? It keeps it nice and steady as you're walking to follow them, or as you're walking backwards, which makes you even more bumpy.
Exactly. And then when you're walking up steps, instead of getting that jerky, jumpy movement, it can smooth it out. It's still, you can still see that you're walking up steps, but this image is still, it becomes a lot more stable and much easier to look at.
Yeah, and I think just in general, it makes stabilization stuff aside, right? And being able to move it with nice and smooth. It also makes it just simply more comfortable to hold your camera for a long period of time because typically they're going to have a grip, right? So you're
Yeah.
not actually holding your phone with one hand, which then it's going like this, or two hands, which can be very uncomfortable. Or even in some of the, handheld rigs like this that just aren't comfortable for holding. I always find the gimbals with that handle work really, really well.
They do. They do. They're comfortable to hold. There's buttons on them, so instead of pushing the buttons on the screen of the phone itself, you can match. For my one in particular, I can match it with Bluetooth. So the controls on the gimbal can control the phone. So you can, with one hand, start and stop recording. So you
Yeah.
don't have to start pushing buttons on the screen and do all sorts of weird stuff. So if you're doing an impromptu video, for example, if your main AV team is busy somewhere else and then something's happening that you really want to take a shot of, grab your gimbal, fit your phone, and you go off and do it.
Yeah, one of the uses that we always find that we find that smartphones are really good at and gimbals help immensely is shooting B-roll, right? Like the outside of a convention center, the outside of a hotel to get those establishing shots for the video that you have after the conference. If you hire a videographer to come out and shoot B-roll, it can be quite pricey, right? Because they have certain talents. Let them use their talents inside doing interviews and things like that. And someone who at least has a good understanding of videography, can have the gimbal and just, go shoot some B-roll that can be used later.
But the thing to keep in mind is the video you shoot. The gimbal will help it keep it steady, and it's better in the hand, as we've discussed. However, the video quality is only as good as your phone is. So
True.
if you don't experiment with the settings, you're gonna, as I've experienced with that video I did for the site visit. Do check that out on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
As you pan around, lighter backgrounds are going to change the way the camera sees image. So suddenly you'll have fluctuations in contrast and brightness. So play with the settings, experiment with it. But the gimbal, all it's going to do is make sure that your the way you hold the phone is going to be easier, less jumpy, smoother.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point on the light, right? And that's with any video or a photo that you're taking with your phone, right? This is not a professional camera. So, if you're going from, a dark room to very light or light to dark, or, they don't do that kind of thing very well. So that is a good point.
Yeah. But that's not what we'll talk about today. I mean, we can come back to another time and talk
Yes.
about shooting really good video. I'm going to try something that we didn't discuss. So I'm going to fit.
So,
Can we see my gimbal?
yeah, kind of, yeah. There you
Yeah.
go.
Is that all right? Was that
Yeah, it
okay?
works.
All right. So you've got to loosen bits off. So that comes up, as you can see, and then you can fix that in position. I can then release it. So this is a 2-axis one. I forgot to mention, gimbals come in different versions. Some have 2-axis, like this one. So you've got that way and that way. Some are 3-axis. They have an
Yes.
extra movement to keep things balanced, but this one seems to do it okay. So there's my phone, and there's the attachment point, as it were. So basically, it's just flexible thing. So all I have to do is I've got to do it this way around. So where are we? There we go. So
And
that
Bob
goes there.
and his awesome Huawei phone that we can no longer get here in the United States because we're not allowed.
Yeah, well, that's something we're going to have to talk about. The only thing I find about this fitting is it can interfere with your power button. It's not good in that way.
See, my Samsung power button's all the way up at the top, so.
Yeah. So that's in, and actually I've got that fairly balanced. And that's it. That's all you have to do in the way of setup. And then I could just power it on.
You gotta love that when it just, hopefully it works.
You know what? I've had it on charge all night. It's not doing anything. This is terrible. This is crazy.
Well, so while you're getting that fixed, I'm gonna actually let everyone know. So yesterday, I'm like, this is a great opportunity for me to upgrade my gimbal. So I went and got the DJI gimbal, and so it came yesterday, and I took it out of the package and I get ready to set it up. The one thing that you got to look out for is where are you going to get the app that runs the gimbal, right? So in the case of DJI, which is a well-known company, it is a huge company. They make, everyone knows DJI drones and all of that, but apparently their gimbal app has been pulled from the App Store and Google Play because it no longer meets security requirements for either app store. Now, if you are not meeting the security requirements of Google Play, which are virtually non-existent, you're really doing something that is not that really needs to be fixed. So I'm actually returning this gimbal and I'm getting a new one. How's that gimbal working, Bob?
This is actually a really good gimbal. I really like it. However,
it just
behaving.
This is the best laid plans, right? This is where you go. This happens at live events all the time.
I'll tell you. You know how they say never work with animals for children in film.
There you go.
Don't work with gadgets that have motors and batteries and stuff.
Especially one that was working not 15 minutes ago. But
whatever. Yes. But that's what they look like. There you go. You can see what they look like. So, so we can talk about it in principle, I suppose.
Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway,
that's it for today's episode.
so recapping. All right. So smartphone gimbal. If you get one that actually works, it is going to help you stabilize your camera. It'll support the camera, makes your camera easier to hold while you're shooting anything from an interview to B-roll of a convention, conference center, hotel, whatever it happens to be. You can actually do more of a steady cam type shot when you're walking down a hallway following someone.
I think I've got it now. think I've got.
Oh, there you go. I'm buying you time here, Bob. Um, there are a lot of makes and models. In my case, I bought the DJI, but the second I got it and realized that you scan a QR code to side load an app onto your phone, I said,
No,
right?
that's not
You
good.
know, we side loading apps is great on your phone. That's for another episode. But in this case, I am not willing to put an unsecure app on my phone, so I'm returning this one and getting a new one.
Don't blame you. You got to, if you've got any sensitive data belonging to your client, or that you plan to give to your client, then you got to be very, very careful.
Yeah, and working in events, we have a lot of clients, if you're talking pharmaceutical companies, things like that, and that data does pass through your phone, I'm not going to do it.
No, right. It's working now. Oh, what it was, I hadn't unlocked this piece up here, so it was just a complaint. But it's powered up now, and as you can see, it keeps the phone in the same place. And in fact, it reacts really, really quickly. And then you can turn, and as
So,
I say,
so,
there
and
you
it's
go.
good to know that the DJI one, which I was wondering why it was $99 now, which is very, very inexpensive for a gimbal. Yours, actually, I think here in the States, and I forgot the name of the brand that you use, which is actually the one I'm going to go with because their app is in the App Store.
Yeah.
Was only, I think, $89.
This was 89. Yeah, this is about £90 for myself in the
Yeah.
UK. It's a Feiyu Tech. It's got a proper name. Vlog Pocket 2.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's silly. You feel silly the first time you use a gimbal. You wonder what you're going to get out of it, but you end up using it a lot more than you think you would.
Yeah. Now, at the beginning, we talked about when to use it and when not to use it. And the bit I want to pick up on that is the app that's in the Google Play Store, and I'm assuming it's in the Apple Store as well. And at least it's in the store. I mean, it's a Chinese product. Google must have looked at it and said, okay, we feel this is okay. But again, you don't have to have the app installed to use it. You don't actually have to connect it with Bluetooth. But if you do, it has a tracking feature. So if you're out and about doing B-roll and you want to video people walking from left to right, right to left, or you just want to take one of those shots where the camera is always fixated on an object or a person as you walk, then this can do it automatically for you.
That's actually a really cool feature to have in one. So, for example, I'm going to use this is a horrible example because I would never recommend this. But for example, if you had your camera facing a speaker on a stage and they were walking back and forth across the stage, it would just follow them back and forth.
Yes. However, I did when I was doing that video, again, check out our YouTube channel to see it. There are times when you don't want to use it. So I used it sitting on top of a table, set up the tracking feature, and it would follow the person or object that I set it to. If you want to have the person off center, so when they're pointing at a board or a display, is explaining the points or a picture or a diagram or something, you want the person to one side and the board on the other. Auto tracking doesn't let you do that. It's always centered.
Yes.
So yes, auto tracking is a great feature. Whether the person goes up, down, left, or right, it will move the camera appropriately to track that person, object or person. But if you're looking to do one of those shots where there's a person on one side and an object of interest on the other, you have to switch it off. Otherwise, it won't do it. You won't get the shot that you want.
Well, and it's also very important to recognize limitations of technology, right? And if you have a dog that's playing in a park, that's probably not the thing to have track it because the dog is going to be moving too fast, right? It's
I found it actually it's not too bad. I had a person walk left or right. That's right to left for me. Was it left right? Oh, whatever. at a reasonable brisk pace, no problem at all. It also depends on the distance. Obviously, if you're trying to follow somebody close up, it's going to do an awful lot more tracking than if you're, a little way back. So, but yeah, I mean, this is good. It's also got remote control, so you've got a little joy button there. I don't know if you can see it properly, but you can then control it up and down, move it around. It's even got the app's even got on-screen controls, which I find is totally pointless, but never mind. but the thing is, it does the job. It's really, really cool. Now, if any planner's thinking, oh great, yet another thing to store in my planner bag, let me just turn this off.
Yeah, well, actually, we can just show them with this one because it's already packed up, right?
Yeah. So
now it's super small.
Yeah, so I can fold this. I can lock that into position so it doesn't move. Lock that down. Hold on. Other way. Lock that into position. Turn the screw. Now the thing is, this is a standard camera mount base.
Yeah, it gets super small.
So you've now got just that, and if you want to fit that on a tripod, you can.
Boom.
So you could actually have this in your, if you're in an exhibition, you can have this set up somewhere and just let people walk past and record it, whatever you like.
There's nothing better than good B-roll.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up. So, gimbal going to support your camera. It's going to help you take better camera phone videos by stabilizing your video and making it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
They're inexpensive.
Very inexpensive. Obviously, it's much more expensive available, which will have better features. But if you're doing this for the first time and you want to experiment, under $100 or £100, you can't go wrong.
Yep. We do not recommend the DJI.
I would highly recommend do your research first.
Yeah, but it's DJI. You would think, right? As someone who has other DJI products, who would have known that their app would have gotten kicked out of the App Store, right? I mean,
yeah, maybe. But then again, I thought they had a lot of problem with their drones regarding security. But
it's not like the brand that you're going to find at the bargain bin. That's so. I was a little bit surprised that their app is unsecure and not permitted in the app stores, especially Google. Google lets anybody in.
Well, they're not as strict as Apple saying that, but yeah.
Yeah, the pretty much you're in.
Yeah. Okay. And when would you use it? So if you need to do a little bit of B-roll shooting, if you want to capture a moment that you weren't expecting, if there's an impromptu interview going on, because don't forget you can plug in the Synco microphones we've discussed into the phone.
Yep.
Which makes a cool little mini studio setup.
And it can make really good interviews if you have a third person that's actually controlling, not the interviewer, right? So that they can actually move that camera now between the two people that are speaking, and it gives it a little bit more of a polished look than just somebody in their janky cell phone going back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all cool stuff. And don't forget to unlock it properly so you can do a decent demo.
And where are they going to find us, Bob? bullet-list.com.
Oh, yeah. Go check us out on there. And we're also on Facebook, and updates normally happen on Event Planner News and Planner Wire on Facebook. And hello to Angela, our regular visitor who's been commenting away.
Yes, and that's true. It does fit in a pencil case. I use pencil cases for a lot of stuff.
They're amazing. So I can't grab it now, it's too far away. But yeah, I have pencil cases with cabling and wiring and microphones and all sorts of stuff.
And it's just stuff after the start of school here. So they're all now on sale at Walmart.
I thought everything was cheap at Walmart.
Kind of true. All right. See you next time.
All right. Thanks for joining us. And see you next time.